So just another unbelievable day in the world of sports, unfortunately, in a lot of ways, right? I'm Matt Levine, and welcome to the 954sports.com YouTube channel. Plenty of videos to sift through. It's been an unprecedented week. I've said this before this week, time and time again, in the world of sports in more ways than one. The coronavirus has hit the sports landscape that we so love here in North America and in the United States hard this week in ways that I've never seen. I've been doing sportscasting for over 20 years now. And the only thing that I can compare this to, and I'm not comparing anything in a competitive way, I'm just saying the only thing that's in comparison, for me at least, in covering the world of sports was covering the days and the weeks, months, years unfolding after 9/11 and living and working just in the backyard of New York City. I remember that as a sportscaster well, WSTC, WNLK in Connecticut, just getting my tenure going to cover a high school football game of the week in Darien, Connecticut. And one of the players had a family member, kin, in 9/11 perish. And I remember covering that story and all these side stories regarding 9/11 much more than the game. Can't even tell you who Darien played. Can't even tell you I believe they did win. They won a lot of games. But I do remember that weekend and being kind of tentative and not knowing what to do, but your job, that's all you could do, right? You felt, I did at least, kind of guilty covering sports. And that's the only thing relatively that I can compare it to. And thank goodness you have these outlets like YouTube, and you can share your thoughts and express yourself and kind of share what's going on in the world of sports here. The latest, right? Mentioned yesterday at the NBA decided to suspend their season as of yesterday. As far as March Madness was going to go, they were going to play the games, the NCAA, in empty arenas. That certainly changed today. I know I saw this post from my respective alumni, or my alma mater, I should say, as an alumnist from Arizona State University. You can see it there. Expressed their sorrow for having to cancel the Pac-12 tournament. Once the tournament started getting canceled, then Duke came out and said, hey, we're not even going to go to the big dance if it happens. And sure enough, the NCAA canceled the March Madness, the men's and women's tournaments, respectively. Not only did they cancel March Madness, I'll tell you a little bit more, but within that March Madness bracket, they had games that were scheduled to be, well, first off, the Atlanta was going to host the Final Four. They had games to be played in Dayton, Ohio, the playing game, which would take place next week. A game scheduled in Indianapolis, Houston, New York City, Los Angeles, throughout the United States. So unbelievably enough, March Madness canceled. Will not be any brackets busted this year. That's just something I never thought I'd say due to something like the coronavirus. It all started, right, when the respective sports leagues announced earlier in the week, Major League Baseball, MLS, NBA, NHL, they were going to ban media from coming in the locker rooms. And yesterday night, I came on here on the 954sports.com YouTube channel, talked about this dude, Rudy Gobert, the talented seventh-year pro for the Utah Jazz, testing positive for the coronavirus. Another Utah Jazz player, Donovan Mitchell, I believe it is, tested positive, came through with the results today that he had unfortunately gotten the coronavirus as well. So the NBA Suspends the season indefinitely for at least 30 games. You know, interestingly enough, after I did last night's talk here, I did come across the video, and I have the pictures of Gobert. You know, got cavalier with the media the other morning or the other afternoon in Utah. I didn't know this till this morning. And he was seen there touching the microphones and kind of, you know, playing it off like, oh, there's nothing to be scared of. Look, I'm touching all your stuff. And, you know, that's what happens. He winds up getting the coronavirus, unfortunately. And do I believe in jinxes? Yeah, I do. But I don't want anyone to get this. And I feel bad for Rudy, and he's certainly forgiven. He did have a nice apology, which he released on Instagram. I am so blind. Make it a little bit bigger. There you go. I said I want to thank everyone for the outpouring of concern and support over the last 24 hours. I've gone through so many emotions since learning of my diagnosis, mostly fear, anxiety, and embarrassment. The first and most important thing, I would like to publicly apologize to the people I may have endangered. At the same time, I had no idea I was even infected. I was careless and made no excuse. I hope my story serves as a warning and causes everyone to take this seriously. I will do whatever I can to support my experience as a way to educate others and prevent the spread of this virus. I'm under great care and will fully recover. I thank you again for all your support. I encourage everyone to take all the steps to stay safe and healthy. Love. So there you have it from Rudy Gobert. And of course, you wish him and his teammate a speedy recovery, and you hope no other players come up testing positive. Tough times here for the NBA, right? And for Rudy Gobert, all the fans out there, yours truly included. Now, for the NBA, let's say they do this 30-day hiatus. You know, kind of what's the mindset and the thoughts and what goes beyond that here. Take a listen to the commissioner, Adam Silver, who talked to the media about that.
What we determined today is that this hiatus will be most likely at least 30 days. I mean, and we don't know enough, as you've all said, to be more specific than that, but we wanted to give direction to our players and teams and to our fans that this is going to be roughly at least a month. But then the question becomes, is there a protocol, frankly, with or without fans, in which we can resume play? And I think the goal, and been talking a lot to Michelle Roberts, the Players Association, just talked to Chris Paul, the president of the union, again earlier tonight, and you know, coming together, what makes sense here?
And there you have it. A little clip there, some sound from Adam Silver. What makes sense? They'll determine that, you know, and I think they did the right thing. You have to do the right thing. The NCAA did it. The NBA did it. The NHL. They've ceased operations, their best time of the year. Can't forget the XFL. They also have canceled the remainder of their season, you know. Not to get sidetracked here, but I think a pretty good first year for the XFL. A shame, like everything, that the coronavirus has shortened their season. But I definitely think they've lived to play another day, and hopefully the coronavirus will be a distant memory by the time they try to rebound in 2021. So, those are just some of the leagues and, you know, some of the happenings today in the world of sports. Of course, things to come on the docket. You've got the Masters. That'll take place the second week of April. Can't forget Major League Baseball, which I did. I guess I can forget Major League Baseball. I did. Totally forgot Major League Baseball, right? Get used to this. These pictures. Empty stands. Major League Baseball announces that they'll delay the start of the season by 2 weeks. And indefinite beyond that, spring training has been canceled. So the season was to start March 26th. There's a picture in Italy at one of the soccer stadiums being fumigated. Major League Baseball will now start what? We're looking at the first week and a half into April at the earliest. As I was going to mention, the Masters comes up the second week of April. And we know how big the Masters is as a gateway into spring, right? It captures the country's attention when you get a storyline of a Tiger Woods, let's say, making an epic run. The eyes of the sports world belong to Augusta, Georgia, that second weekend in April. See what happens with the Masters. The NFL is supposed to take over Las Vegas the third weekend of April for the annual draft. Happens in Vegas, stays in Vegas. Nothing may happen in Vegas this year, unfortunately. Remember how many people embarked on Nashville? They said it last night, like 100,000 last year. It was just a scene. It's a place to be. It looked cool. Nashville is cool. Vegas, supposed to take over the eyes, of all the sports world, right? Take over the sports world, become the headquarters for the NFL draft, the third weekend of April. Get the season going. I guess a great introduction to springboard the new Las Vegas Raiders. We'll see what happens with the NFL draft, with the Masters. How the NBA, how the NHL, if they're able to recover. You look at that 30-day window for the NBA, and they were supposed to start the playoffs Saturday, April 18th. Season would end the 15th. Now, if you put that 30-day window on, you'd get the season ending April 11th. And most teams, roughly 20-ish games to go, a little less than 24 games. So you'd have to abbreviate the season, start the playoffs later, or just take your top 8 teams in each league and start the playoffs. But you need some kind of a tune-up, I would think. It's just an awkward situation for the NBA and the NHL. You got to remember, these guys are in a rhythm right now. They're in such a routine, in such a grind. Teams that are competing for the postseason have all their pieces to the puzzle lined up. It's going to be completely put on the back burner now, and then you're going to ask them to jumpstart things that ain't that easy. You got the cohesion, the rhythm of the season going. You take an LA Lakers, take the Clippers, you take the Raptors. Teams like that, right? The upper echelon. And right now you stop that progress. You hope to just rekindle it. Like flipping a switch. Again, ain't that easy. See lots of these pictures, B-roll. Empty arenas, right? Showed some of the empty stadiums. Unfortunate times right now. As we will have a really empty spring. And what will happen now, I think, is very similar to how I reported on sports when I was doing radio. After 9/11, it becomes less of the day-to-day, of course, grind and the drama or the stories. I mean, you look at 2019, things that now almost seem silly, right? The saga of Antonio Brown. And every sport has its cycle of off-the-story fields and dramas that continue, and then you're reporting constantly on the drama on the field. I mean, look at the NFL with the silliness of instant replay. In all sports now, and you're always talking about the things that happen on and off the field, and it's a continued cycle. What happens now with 9/11, happened then, with 9/11, and kind of happens now. I'm thinking, I don't know, I'm guessing, based on my experience, is that you start reporting on how sports is trying to get back to normal and that process. And talking about things like this. Instead of what happened on the field, what happens off the field, and all the melodrama that surrounds that. You want to get back to that, so that becomes a story. within the story, within the story, within the story. And the beat goes on. You know, Charles Barkley has self-quarantined himself. I guess he came across someone with the corona. And he has flu-like symptoms. You're hopeful, of course, like anyone's test that's negative. I did hear Chuck. He's become one of my favorite broadcasters. I love Charles Barkley as a player. Always liked him off the court. Says what he feels. I always thought he was smart, articulate, funny. Just a good guy. He was on Dan Patrick auction. He's talking about an auction he's going to have sometime in the summer with his memorabilia, his personal stuff, which I'm sure what he told Dan Patrick's got to be some awesome stuff. And like a Dream Team flag, he had signed by everyone, this, that, and the other thing. But anyway, my point is this. He sounded to me, I was listening to the interview, taking a run the other day. He sounded, I remember thinking, I was like, wow, he sounds so tired. And then he came out that he has flu-like symptoms, so he has self-quarantined himself, and I'm guessing that he's taken a test, and you hope for the best for Chuck. So this is just hitting from all pockets. And we'll see what's yet to come. I'll do my best to keep you posted here on 954sports.com's YouTube station. And I said last night that you find ways for levity, right? One way I do is I love The Onion, the website. They put their own satirical spin on everything. And you look at the humor, you laugh at it for a minute, and I think laughter is certainly the best medicine. And I had a joke with the Knicks. I forgot to share it with you, so why not share it with you now, right? Get the junk out of the trunk, as they say. Take a look at this one. Due to the coronavirus epidemic, the New York Knicks have decided to not participate in the 2020 NBA playoffs. Thank you for your understanding. All right. The Knicks finally have an excuse. Go figure. In the Knicksonian way, they finally win a game in overtime last night against the Hawks. And, it's the way the cookie crumbles. Does it really matter we have no Knicks basketball? No. But you didn't want to see it happen this way. Besides, the Knicks are jockeying to lose for draft lottery playoff position. What else is there to look forward to? It is really going to be interesting, though. Major League Baseball, too. Not to be forgotten, even though I did forget them there for a moment. Let's see what they do. You talk about rhythm. You talk about a sport that just takes, an extensive amount of time, right, with the pitchers, the catchers, and the players. Almost 5-6 weeks to get everyone primed and tuned for a season. And it is a grueling season. 162 games worth. And, these guys are fine-tuned. And there's so much that goes into putting together a roster. And that science behind it and what March is used for. And now that gets put on the back burner. You wonder when Major League Baseball, I'm sure they're going to, see what goes on with the other leagues. When they can start their season and all the scheduling, rearrangements they're going to have to do. I guess you try to see how this thing breaks with the coronavirus and what cities may be affected more than others on the Major League map. I don't know. It causes an amazing amount of what-ifs, hypotheticals, the unknown. That's what we're getting into on all fronts with this coronavirus. But in sports, Major League Baseball season, it started off in just an unbelievable manner, right? Take a look at some Yanks, Red Sox. I'm going to Jones for that. I'm Jones for Major League Baseball, I'm telling you, man. But, yeah, we're going to see what they do with Major League Baseball. See what happens. I know what the point I was getting to. Was you had this sort of flurry of activity. You had enough. Talk about drama. Holy cow, what an offseason for Major League Baseball. It seems like with all that's gone on this week with the coronavirus, the Astros and the cheating scandal and Cora with the Red Sox and Carlos Beltran with the Mets and that whole deal. It seems like it was a year ago. Nevertheless, but how about the Washington Nationals winning the World Series? That seems like it was 2008, like 12 years ago, right? Certain things take precedence now. But, Major League Baseball has bigger problems right now, and just in terms of getting this season off and going, and what could wind up being a very short season, at least a condensed season. We shall see. We shall see. We'll see. I guess. Adam Silver said it there. They'll know more if you're able to contain this and get to a point to play in empty stadiums, which was the initial plan there by the NCAA, and Major League Baseball may do that too. Who knows? Again, the great unknown. We can only speculate. But right now, what else can you do with these sports leagues? Do what you got to do, especially the NBA. Rudy Gobert contracted it. Once one player's got it, that's it. Close the doors for business. We will reopen. TBD, to be determined. That's a lot of the world of sports right now. You can throw a big old question mark over everything. I'll tell you this much. I'm going to miss watching the highlights, checking the scores, especially, like I said, baseball. Love that first opening 2 weeks, month, start getting into the routine of baseball. Then the natural progression comes, right, by Memorial Day, late May. You kind of know what you got with your team. At least as a Yankee fan, you kind of anticipate how far the team can go. Now, it could be different if you're a Baltimore Orioles fan. By Memorial Day, you're looking forward to the next season, or maybe 2 seasons or 3 seasons down the line from that. You're hoping for anything. You're hoping to just be 500. But as a Yankee fan, you expect a lot. The season progresses. You go through the summer, you hit the All-Star break, then after that, you gear up for the pennant run, and so on and so forth. And you have your hot stove season, which was, again, occupied by the Houston Astros and that whole deal. But hey, the beat goes on. And we shall see what happens tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. And again, you hope that the coronavirus gets a swift kick in the ass and just disappears for good. Get back to our regular lives and the regularly scheduled programming, including our sports. But for now, just keep your hands clean, right? Stay safe, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Have a great night. So long. I'm Matt Levine for 954sports.com and the YouTube channel saying adios.